I love incorporating quotes from Ra. I don't see him, and he never wanted to be a guru. But I also think it's always nice to incorporate some words that he said as well. So, well, technically all this is, I don't make up my own human design. I think one of the problems in the online space is people are making it up because they didn't actually learn it. And this is a real issue that he called out before his passing. And so technically everything is his words, the science of differentiation. And sometimes I just like to bring a direct quote in. So he said, the most horrible thing of the homogenized world is that it has stripped human beings from understanding how incredible each being truly is, and that you can live that. But you live that first and foremost for you. This is for generators. This isn't like a general quote he had. I should also add that. This is specifically for generators. We are really truly the only ones focused inwards. Everyone else is focused outwards. So first and foremost, it's about you. This doesn't mean it's like, fuck service and I don't care what happens with people. No, but first and foremost, you. You cannot live this for someone else. I always remind people to love themselves. He used to always say, bye for now and love yourself, was how he ended trainings. It's actually a cruel thing that I do because I know how difficult that is, because to love yourself, you have to trust your life. And to trust your life, you need something to trust in. To trust that this vehicle is here precisely for the fulfillment of your potential. If you'll just allow it to be correct, because this is what the experiment is, and there is no instant gratification. I'm sorry, there isn't. It takes 7 years to cellularly decondition a being. It takes time. Awareness is a treasure. It does not come in a moment, and it does not come when the form is not correct. But it all goes back to the mind over and over again, because the mind has been playing the game of running your life from the moment you came into the world, measuring and deciding. Whew, breathe that in. So the reality is, yes, we can put in practical tools right now that are going to shift things, but the true experiment is long-term. There's no instant gratification. So when you guys keep saying, but from the mind, and how does this apply? And how does that apply? And then this nuance, you have to go out and live it. You have to go out and start living it. You have to go out and start experimenting with it. You have to go out and start playing with it. Human design, if you look at human design as just another formula that you plug in and play, that is no different than hiring a strategy coach, taking their strategy exactly as it worked for them and trying to plug it into your business. And they're like, well, why the fuck doesn't this work? Right? There's nuances. And yes, we can go when, there's the opportunity for my very high level clients that have been in this experiment for a long time, where we are going into really deep little nuances within their design, like really little nuanced pieces of their design. And yet it's because they've built the foundation and done the work over time. It wasn't just one day we were talking about that, because the reality is, if you try to learn the higher level stuff to like fix you, you're missing the point. Right? So it's always coming back to loving yourself, trusting yourself. And what he says here, to trust this vehicle is here precisely for the fulfillment of your potential. If you live your design, if you follow strategy and authority, you get exactly what is meant for you. And I always say, I could not have created this life. I couldn't have. There's no way. He also said, and I thought this was so important, Alex, the human mind is always like, but what's next? He said, and this is near just prior to his death, he said, my message is type. You are a generator, subtype manifesting generator. It's the only message I really have to deliver anymore, because it's the only truth, the real truth in all of us and all of this, because it brings you to the truth. It brings you to what is inherent in you, what you have a right to feel, to know that quality of love within yourself, not because you try to get there, but because it is there. So this was something, and in a lot of his lectures later in life, he admitted that he was kind of, people would come to him asking him all this other stuff. So he started like bringing them all of that, other pieces of the transmission. And then he finally was like, no, like enough to this. You're not even living your type. No, like focus on type, right? So the movement of sacral beings is building through mastery. This is really important because it's very easy, especially in the online space, to be like squirrel brain, right? Or to be like, okay, so I launched this product and only one person bought. So this is clearly not working. So I need to launch something else, and not actually sticking it out to actually create momentum, right? It's kind of like, I build it and they will come. And then everyone's like, where are they? I built it. Why didn't they come? Right? And okay, well, that didn't work. I have to go on to the next thing. And when we're looking at generators and manifesting generators, we have the energy to work. The problem is we'll quit. We'll quit and we'll pivot and we'll be like, this isn't scroll brain. Yep. This doesn't work for me. This strategy doesn't work for me. That doesn't work for me. Nothing works for me. And we come up with all these stories. I know, I've been there. And that is, we are the great quitters. Ra called us that all the time. So it's mastery. What are you building a mastery within? So generators go level by level, and MGs are going to skip steps, kind of skip levels, if you will. Generators, now I'm speaking about all of us, MGs and generators. Ra very rarely distinguished, other than when he said in business that MGs are going to skip steps. We get stuck, we plateau. We've talked about this, right? We go up, we plateau, we go up, we plateau. But if you get into something correctly and you get stuck, you're literally in the best place for you. So you begin to reframe how you see this. In fact, you can decide right now that you change how you see it, because it begins to mean, and you realize that it begins to mean that you're ready to move to the next level. You're like, oh, plateau. It's time to level up. It reminds me of like, are video games still a thing? But I remember like Mario, and it's like, and then you like get bigger, right? Like it just reminds me of that. But you realize that as soon as you've hit that plateau, it's because you're like, rest, because oh shit, there's a new level of mastery coming. Now there's a difference, and this is the nuance that's so important. I see a lot of people that are like, I'm in a plateau. And it's a self-sabotage pattern that's showing up again and again and again and again and again, right? So there's a difference between a plateau and self-sabotage patterns that continue to play out in your life. Those are different. Plateaus are literally mechanical. It's literally mechanical. Like I said, it's like the car's off. You can hit the gas all you want, but the car's off, right? I'm so happy you love the reframe. That's awesome. Eventually, you're going to stop seeing it as stuckness, and you're going to be able to see it as a place of metamorphosis, a place of transformation, a place of mutation. For me, even this year, when I hit a plateau, it was like, all right, there's multiple things I'm up leveling here. The business is getting more scalable and less day-to-day tactics. I've got a lot going on in my life and I want harmony. And I'm speaking to a new ideal client. So there were two places that I was up leveling, but there's that rest first before the up level. So it's this completion of one step, mutation into the next. So the only thing to be starting to bring awareness to is, are you hitting self-sabotage patterns, or is it a true plateau? So the energy is different. And you guys, like, I like using analogies and examples. Feel the difference. Just like I said in the beginning of the call, feel the difference between this in your body. I'm done this level, and pretty soon I'm moving on to the next. And I'm at this barrier. I can't figure it out. It feels terrible. What should I do to fix this? Do you guys feel the difference in your body? I'm done this level. Amazing. Pretty soon I'm moving on to the next. There's no rush. I'm here. Now my sacral will be a yes when the time's right to move, versus, ooh, I'm at this barrier. Oh my gosh, it feels terrible. Oh, I can't figure it out. Oh my God, I scrolled for 3 minutes today and everyone's celebrating their $100,000 months and $1 million in 25 seconds. And I need to fix something. I'm behind. This feels horrible. My business is clearly falling apart because I haven't had 25 PayPal pings in the last 20 minutes. It's done. It's over. I need to figure it out. I need to launch something. I need to launch something to be seen, right? There's very different frequencies there. If we opened people up, we would find landscapes. I love that. So you're not a manifester. You can't initiate that next level. And even around them, there's an illusion of what that even means, but we're not manifestors, so we're not going to worry about that. You receive the next level. But I want you to feel, if you're pushing on something And I know it can be hard to wrap our heads around, although I imagine most of us are pretty spiritual. It can be hard to wrap our head around when we're pushing against air, right? When you're like, oh, figure it out, right? I want you to think of, if you go and start pushing against your wall, how far you get. And I want you to literally start thinking of all those monkey mind ideas and stories and crap in your head to figure it out and force it and launch something and whatever the case may be. And I literally want you to take those and make it manifest and like push against your wall. And the more the thoughts go, I want you to push harder against the wall and tell me how far you get in moving that wall. Probably not far. And if you do that, even as another analogy with someone else, and you're locking hands and you're kind of like in a push competition, you're not in an energy to receive. It's just, how hard can I push? You're not in an energy to receive, yet we don't equate it, that energy, because we're not seeing that actual like pushing, but you're literally pushing against what life is trying to bring you. And the quantum field and the energy speaks before we do. You can tell me you want the beautiful business all day, but if you're sitting there pushing, you're not going to receive ever. It's not going to work. And you might have those trickle ins or even those big one-off months, but it's not going to be sustainable over time. What is important to grasp is true transformation only comes out of the place of stuckness. It's not, give me that next level, I want it now. That does not work. And the more you operate from that, the more resistance you're going to have, right? Because you're too busy pushing. Nothing can come to you when you're locked in tunnel vision pushing. And you'll get frustrated and eventually quit. Raru, who said, you see, all it takes is a readiness to take that journey, to disconnect from the madness of the not self world and its not self purposes, to rediscover the dignity of what it is to be you. It's a wonderful thing to love yourself. It's truly magic. So MGs, be aware of skipping too many steps. This is what often happens, then having to go backwards and do things over again. So Ra used to tease, although I don't think he actually was teasing. I think he was being, please always make sure you guys are on mute, my friends. He was being quite serious. He said, I don't want a surgeon who is an MG. Oops, did we leave the scissors inside? I must have missed something. And that was a quote. That's a direct quote from Ra. And that's kind of what happens with the MGs, where it's like, oh shit, okay, I didn't do that. Oh crap, I didn't think of that. I was moving too fast, so I didn't realize that. And now you have to go back and redo it anyway. So you actually waste time and waste energy because you keep having to go back and redo things. So it's going to be, and very often that's moving from pressure. That is the quick giveaway for you, for MGs, that you're moving from pressure. Pressure to get it done faster, pressure to do something, pressure to whatever your not self is telling you to do. Step I always miss, strategy. That is a big step to miss. That is the step to miss. And imagine how detrimental this can be for your business, right? Be aware of when the not self mind tries to pull you into skipping too many steps, just like the pure generator, right? Because the pure generator, you're going to try and skip steps. You're going to have to go backwards. The manifesting generator is just like taking too many steps. But it's the same difference. Generators, pure generators, you're not an MG. And MGs, stop skipping the important steps. Slow down. Come back to the present moment. What are the important steps? And then take those steps. So remember that thinking is not bad. This is so important. Thinking is not bad. You are allowed to think, right? It's knowing what's worthy of thinking about. Half the stuff people will say to me, I'm like, I don't even have an answer for that because I wouldn't even think about it because it doesn't matter to anything. It literally doesn't apply to anything. It doesn't matter to anything. It's not going to move your business forward. It's not going to impact you in any way. So I don't even have an answer because it's not worthy of thinking about. So use your mind as an authority, outer authority for others. So right now I'm being an outer authority. I'm using my mind and the information it has compiled through human design to then be your outer authority. It's also for measuring and learning. Those are great things. And thinking is amazing. If we didn't have people that cared to think, we wouldn't have any advancements in anything. It's not a place of decisions or creating scenarios, generators and MGs, so that you can respond to what the mind thinks is best. And that's where it can get very dangerous. And that's why I always in the beginning am very cautious about having my clients ask themselves yes, no questions from hypothetical situations, because usually the hypothetical situation is coming from the mind trying to generate a certain response that fits the narrative and the beliefs and the stories that the mind has, not what's actually correct for you and your sacral. So the mind's great at observing, learning, and taking in information. It is not your decision-making center, and it's always going to question it, and it's always going to do that. As Ross said, the mind is always going to do what the mind is going to do. It's just your job not to make decisions from there. It's not like one day you're going to hit this enlightened place and all of a sudden the mind's not doing anything and there's no chatter in your mind. That literally doesn't exist. It's always going to do what the mind's going to do. It's, do you allow yourself? Do you give yourself permission to make decisions from there? And that's your right to do that. And or do you decide that you follow strategy and authority? And what I always say to my clients is it working? Is what you're doing currently working? Is your business growing? Do you have reoccurring income? Do you have new leads that actually want to work with you that are coming in? Do you have a way to generate new leads? If you have to take 3 months off of business, does your business support you? Right? Like these questions, and these are all yes, no's. If it's working, you can tweak it. But and even then, we're either growing and expanding or dying and contracting. And I feel anyone that stops growing, the business will eventually start going backwards. But we need to look at, is it actually working what you're currently doing? It operates in a binary, this or that. So it does not incorporate the wholeness of who you are. So that's another signpost to be aware of. The mind's gonna be like this and that. If it's this, then it can't be that. If it's that, then it can't be this. Likes to make up stories and tell you lies. It operates out of fear for survival and is under pressure to prove this is going to be based on where you're open and what not self strategies you have running, what basically conditioning, what shadows you have that are running your life. As Carl Jung said, basically what subconscious patterns are running your life, and you're calling it fate. It could be to prove yourself, to avoid confrontation. So prove yourself would be undefined ego. Avoid confrontation would be undefined solar plexus. To be certain would be undefined ajna. To be in a hurry would be undefined root. To fit in, undefined G center. Do what others say you should do. You could attribute that to so many. Or do what you think you should do to be successful, to make money, to grow your business. The sacral response is truly honest. We are truly here to be impeccably honest, and removing self-censorship is such an important aspect of that. You really do not owe, and this doesn't mean now it's like every day you're someone different. That's certainly not what it is. And at the same time, realizing that you're going to go through periods where there's rapid growth, and it might even happen during this program where there's rapid growth in who you realize you are. And maybe there's even a pivot you feel that's happening, or you're being called into a pivot or speaking about something different. You don't owe a past version of yourself to anyone. And one of the most beautiful things I think we can do is also give ourselves permission to grow, which gives our community permission to grow, which gives our community permission to be more themselves, which gives our community, especially, for example, say you're expanding your business and you're raising your prices, or you're expanding your business and you're up-leveling your knowledge. And so you're speaking to kind of a different person. You're also giving them that opportunity to come with you on that journey. And it's such a beautiful thing. So you're here to know yourself, our existential question, who am I? And be impeccably honest to that, what you do or do not have energy for. And this isn't from the mind, right? The mind's going to say, oh, I don't have energy to put together an email sequence. It's just too much work. So therefore strategy is not for me. Like that's literally not, that is not the sacral, right? Again, ask yourself better questions. The better question would be, is my business sustainable going the way it's going? We have to ask ourselves better questions, especially since we are a yes, no being. If you're asking yourself shitty questions, you're going to get shitty answers, which is going to perpetuate your current reality. If we look at the sacral, it isn't, okay, do you want strategy in your business so that you can have more Okay, this is what it's all about, right? Don't ask, do I want an email sequence in my business? Because you're likely going to say no. Okay, the higher level version of me that's running a multiple 7-figure business, and if that's your goal or whatever your goal is, that's just an example I'm using, and has true freedom and harmony in her life, does she have strategy? Does she have email sequences so she's not like always scrambling and going day to day? The answer is probably yes. That's the reality. Ask yourself questions based on your highest level self. If you're asking yourself questions based on the level you are now, who you are now, you're going to continue to get the exact same reality over and over and over and over and over again. Highest level self, right? I don't ask myself, do I want to work out today? It's a ridiculous question because usually the answer is no. Believe it or not. The question is an athlete competing at the level I want to be competitive at working out today? The answer is yes. Am I an athlete? Yes. Am I going to work out because I'm an athlete that is competitive at the upper levels? Yes. Right? Like, it's a can you guys see the difference in quality of questions? Or is this kind of like going very different quality of question? The nature. Perfect. I'm glad. I'm glad that you're seeing it. At least one person seeing it. The nature of the aura forces others to come to us. It naturally pulls people in. When others step into your aura, they take in your power and it forces them to say something so that you can respond. I'm so glad you're seeing this. For you to respond, it's simply the energy. It is simply the energy. Due to others taking in our power, again, Rod did call kind of projectors parasites to the generator aura. Again, this is why it's so important to really look at who do you want to work with and who's their highest level version. I don't speak to who people are now. Why would I? Makes no sense. I speak to people's highest level version of self. Speak to your people's highest level version of self. I can nearly guarantee, no matter your niche, no matter your industry you're in, who you desire to work with is not someone you want to body bag, is not someone that has all these excuses on why it won't work for them. You want to work with people that have a growth mindset, people that are going to take action, people that are coachable, right? It's important to know who you're serving, who you're here to serve, so you can speak directly to them and inspire the manifestors. Give the generator something to respond to. Give that, like, see and recognize the projectors, therefore giving that invitation. And for the reflectors, giving them that emotional event. And boundaries are so important. It's so important. It can give us this false sense of illusion that we can go, go, go. But we have all that energy. We typically go until we burn out. And we don't have to do anything, right? Again, your aura is pulling life to you. The question is, are you filtering it based on who you be now and what you think the world should be, what you think business should be? Or are you open to receiving what truly is a sacral yes? It's a big difference. And, something to keep in mind is you have to decide right now. Because I see this in the industry. People take all the programs and they go into it as the version they are now and they leave as the exact same version. And it's not, some cases who knows? I haven't taken every program out there, but most cases it's because someone's in a fixed victim mindset and they're unwilling to be coachable and operate from that next level self. So they try to create different results from the same personality, from being the same person. It's just not going to happen there. You must show up in your power and decide how things get to go for you. When you show up in your power and decide that you're going to co-create with wealth, co-create with others, it shifts the energy. When you own your power, it shifts the energy. So how to bring all of you out is simply about not resisting your life anymore, not going in with agendas of the mind and letting your aura do the work and then wait to respond. Baby, do you want a pillow? Hi, Angel. Oh, thank you. I know. Good girl. Let me give you a pillow. There you go, baby. So the nature of the aura, we have the pure generator, the manifesting generator. These are going to be your generated channels. So this matters in where we're going next. technically anything coming out is pretty simple. Anything coming out of the sacral is a generated channel. To be a manifesting generator, you need a channel to the throat. It has nothing to do with having a defined or undefined throat, right? Because I have a defined throat. It's a motor to the throat that makes you a manifesting generator. The 34 to 20 is the pure manifesting generator. And it's like a very quick, so that's right from the sacral to the throat. You can move really fast. It's usually where now there's the shadow of moving too fast if you have that pure straight line. But we're looking at manifesting. Everyone here is going to have the generated channels. The manifesting generator is going to be in addition to the generated channels. That's what makes you a manifesting generator. That's me. Amazing. So I want to give you guys some context because I think it's so important for us to have context of who we're looking at in terms of generators and MGs. Because when I say mastery, a lot of, not necessarily the generators, more so the MGs go, oh no, I can't do that. The internet told me that I juggle all the balls and I'm launching all the things. And well, that's not necessarily wrong. Again, I ask, is it working? Is your business growing? Do you have freedom? Do you have fulfillment? Is there reoccurring income, right? Like all of these pieces that need to be considered when we're growing businesses, not just hobbies, right? You can have a hobby that is a business, but then it's going to pay like a hobby and we can't complain that it's not growing, right? So famous generators, Tony Robbins, Oprah, Dalai Lama, Beyonce, Albert Einstein are all pure generators. Now, don't tell me those are not masters of what they do, of who they be. Right? Is there one person here where you can honestly look at and be like, I just don't really know what they did. Like, if I was to like describe them in one sentence, I don't know. Right? Like Tony even describes himself as like the founder of success coaching or something, which I don't think is necessarily true, but he's just like so like audacious in who he is. I love it. I know not everyone loves him, but I love him. He changed my life. That's who changed my life. But right, like he's like, I'm just the founder of success coaching. That's who he be. That's who he is. Right. Even these individuals that might have had like Oprah, yeah, she has different aspects under her business, but Oprah is Oprah. It is who she be. It is Oprah. And when I think of Oprah, I really think of someone that's here to change lives. That, I don't know if I go in the realm of motivational speaker, but kind of in that realm where she's literally changing lives through her words, who she be, right? Like Beyonce, again, all these individuals, they're not people where you'd be like, I really couldn't tell you what they did, right? Famous manifesting generators, Stephen King, Martin Luther King, Britney Spears, Mother Teresa, David Beckham. And again, here's the thing, my friends. With Britney, and I thought this was so interesting with her. I found an interview because this is what I do. Like, again, is there anyone here where you're like, who is that? What did they do? Like, I don't think there's one person here that you can literally say, like, I honestly don't know what their role in life was. Like, I don't know what their message was. Right? Like, it's just, and this is the thing that's so important. Mastery. It doesn't mean you can't branch out. And I'm going to have an example of someone that did afterwards. But in an interview, I saw Britney, and I just love her. I grew up with her. It was interesting because I saw an interview when she did like the one movie. Was it Crossroads? She did one movie. And afterwards she said, like, I'm a singer. She's like, I'm not really an actress. I'm a singer. Like, she branched off, but like, she is still a singer and her identity was still a singer. Like, it was just who she'd be, right? She has mastery in that. She has an undefined G center. So, each album is so different. And that fits so well with who she'd be. But like, we're talking about like again, mastery of their art, whatever that may be. Again, I'm going to drill it home because I know you guys have the interwebs that are working against you on this, saying the manifesting generators are squirrel brained, essentially. Sacral beings have mastery. Rihanna, the minute you learn to love yourself, you won't want to be anyone else. I mean, if that isn't a generator quote, I don't know what is. Beyonce has a lot of very generator quotes as well, where you're just like, this woman, she may not know it, but like, is she ever living who she be? Did she ever nail the existential question of who am I? Regardless if you're a generator or an MG, develop your mastery, allow yourself. And very often what happens is we branch out and we do, and I've been there. We do all these other things. We do all these other things because we actually don't trust our mastery. And it took a coach calling me out on it face to face, where I was like, whoa. And he said, you don't trust yourself. You don't trust your mastery. You don't trust your unfair advantage. So you're over here trying to do all these things and it's spreading yourself thin, right? And he didn't know anything about human design, but he nailed it. Singer has multiple brands. So Rihanna is a great example. She made her name in music. So this is why I want to talk about branching out. Often we get, again, in our head of this versus that. And as soon as we get into this versus that, we're in the mind, we're in the conditioning, we're in the program, we're not operating through our sacral. So Rihanna, I mean, oh my gosh, I remember her when like she first came out on the scene. She came out as a singer. Her fans are still having conniptions online that she hasn't released new music. Like she is known as a singer primarily, and then she branched out to other areas. She almost used that like, and it's very smart. MGs and generators, very smart. That has that launch pad, right, into different realms, into literally being a billionaire of multiple brands and businesses. But she gave herself that time to develop mastery. She tuned out the rest, and she gave herself the time to be that go-to person, to kind of get her roots down. You look at Rihanna, like this wasn't overnight. This wasn't overnight, right? But that's where so many, especially spiritual entrepreneurs, are getting stuck. I need it now. I need it now. I need it now. I need it yesterday. Give yourself time to build that mastery. And as soon as you give yourself the time, that's when the magic happens and where time kind of becomes obsolete. You're no longer fixated on it. I had a client recently in a mastermind, and she was like straight, like she hit the ground running, came out of no business, launched a business within like a month and a half, and just started talking about things. And she's like, why isn't anyone buying it? And I'm like, dude, you've literally been talking about it for like a week and you haven't even posted a call to action. Like, give it time. Develop that mastery. This has been coming up for me, mastery, and now I'm clear. It's energetics of who I be. Yep. My mind has made me non-committal because I'm scared to close off all the other stuff I do. That is so important. It's so important. And that was something that changed my life, and it changed my business. When I had someone face to face say, your problem is your problem is you're scared. The problem is you don't trust your mastery. You don't trust yourself. So you have all this random shit going on. And it was true. It was true. I was allowing my monkey mind to get involved. I'd look in the online space and be like, oh shit, like, human design is really blowing up. It wasn't really a thing when I started. Now it's really blowing up. Like, is that enough? Is that mastery enough? Should I have other masteries? Like, is my unfair advantage not good enough? Right? That's not the sacral. And this is where a lot of, especially MGs, just because it's fed to you over and over and over and over again in the online space of people that truly don't understand the mechanics. And that's simply how it is. A lot of people don't like it when I say that, but it's true. They're feeding you that, and it's keeping you stuck. So you need to ask yourself better questions and look at the truth. Is it because you don't trust yourself? Is it because you're scared to cut off those other revenues, or those other avenues is the word I was looking for? Is it because you're scared to pivot? Like those are all yes, no questions that you can go through. Such an important reflection. Deepening my path or distracting me. Yeah, it's so crazy. And it's not that we reach a place where we're all of a sudden perfect, right? I don't want to give anyone an illusion of that. I've learned a lot of hard lessons this year alone. And you will continue to, whether you have a one-on-one coach or not. The one-on-one coaches certainly help collapse that time, if you will, if you're coachable. But the reality is, whether we have a coach or not, no matter what, we're still going to have that trial and error process. Still going to fall on your face sometimes, but that's part of your journey. When you're correct, when you're getting into things from sacral, strategy, and authority, that's part of your journey. It wasn't an unnecessary detour. It wasn't like a bad thing. It was part of your journey. It was positive. So, okay. So now like, where am I? Oh yeah. We are getting into the different types of sacral authorities. This is super fun. This is super, super fun. So the manifested sacral authority. Shoot, this one shouldn't have been there. Oh no, did I do the manifester first? I am like clearly forgetting the order. I thought I had a different one that we were diving into first. Apparently not. No, we're good. Ignore me. I had a different idea of where we started in my mind, and I obviously switched the slides at the last minute to start with the manifested. All right. The manifesting generator. I thought I had that last. Manifesting generator tripped me up. So we have two examples here. So these were created by the Jovian Archive, just to give them a shout out. These are not mine. So they create one for Hillary Clinton. And what I want you to see is there's different ways, different activations, right? Like the manifesting generator can have any of these channels that are going from a motor to the throat. It's direct from the motor to the throat. So motor is an ego, solar plexus, root, which would not be the case for manifesting generators. You'd have to go through the splenic center or the solar plexus, but just to give you an idea of what the motors are, and the sacral. So there's different activations that you can have. What we're looking at is yes, no, right? You're still going with that yes, no. We're not initiating as manifesting generators. We're going to tune out that craziness in the online space. We're going to go by the science of differentiation. Yes, no, I don't know is, not right now, maybe. I don't know. So not right now. Might be no too. And the mind just getting involved. But the manifesting generator is a generator. That's so important to understand. When your sacral center is defined to your throat, either directly, as in the case for the pure manifesting generator, so we're looking at the 34 to 20, or anything else, so the ego to the solar plexus up to the throat, you're able to speak your response in the now, colored by the awareness and energy of the channels defined. So this is where you guys are going to have to do some digging, pull up your mybodygraph.com or whatever software you use, as long as you can click on things and it gives you at least some information on it. What is the channel you have? And you might have multiple, so you can look at both. What are the channels you have that connect the sacral or a motor to the throat? If you are a manifesting generator, so you're going to have the defined sacral, motor to the throat definition, pure MG, beautiful. And I want you to start looking at what is the energy defined, because it's speaking like we're talking about with the MG, it's like energy, like motor is like right up to the throat. So that motor right up into the voice and you're bringing it out, right? Motor right up into the voice and bringing it out. No, it doesn't make a difference if it's red or black. That's why we're not even touching on that, because we'll go through a rabbit hole of mechanics, and you don't need to you don't need to know mechanics to change your business. In fact, we don't even talk about it with clients in BG5 because it just gets people confused. Doesn't make a difference. What is the energy defined? What is the channel that connects your sacral to the throat or motor to your throat? This is the energy that you are saying yes to. Okay, so what's really important is you look at those channels, and that's the energy you're saying yes to. So you're going to look at what that, like the 34 to 20 is like this connection to higher principles where thoughts become deeds. It's very like a charismatic energy. So it's going to be like, for example, 34 to 20, what you are saying yes to is this thing I'm responding to matches my highest principles. It matches my desires. It matches my thoughts that I want to create into reality. That is what you are responding to. That's the only thing you're responding to. Unless you have like all of these, then you're going to have to like add them all together and really look at what does that look like for you. But does that make sense? So the 34 to 20, and we're not going to be able to go through all of the channels, guys. So in a group program, it's going to be a little bit of getting your hands dirty and looking at it in terms of your body graph, getting your hands dirty. So the 34 to 20 is, yes, this thing I'm responding to matches my thoughts that I want to make reality. So therefore I have the energy for it. You're dropping amazing truth bombs for me today. Yay! That makes my heart so happy. So let me know if that makes sense, guys. Yes, 34. I have 34 to, I don't, but yes, I, hypothetical person, have 34 to 20. This thing I am responding to matches what my higher principles that I want to create, my thoughts that I want to create into reality. Therefore, I have the energy for it. It's not yes because my intuition told me. It's not yes because it's going to make me money, which is going to be a little bit more of your ego to throat. It's going to be more of that like competitive material plane energy. It's not that. It's not because of your emotions. None of that. It's not because I think it's the best direction for me. It's not none of that. It's 34 to 20. I have 34 to 20. I have the energy for this because the world brought me something and it matches my thoughts that I desire to have as deeds, as actions in my life. I unfortunately can't go through all of them, guys. And because if I start going through all of them, we're going to be here forever because then I have to go through all of them for every single one, which is going to be a lot. Because then we have 3, 6, 7, 8, 9 for the generators. So you guys are going to have to pull up that channel and ask, what does this mean to me? I picked that one because it is the pure manifesting generator. This reframe, it does asking, match my higher principle. Yes, exactly. You give another example. So it's more, yes, my energy matches. So that's what you are saying yes to. My energy is available for this, what this channel is, what this channel represents, right? So therefore I have energy for it because that is where my energy is moving. My energy is moving from the sacral to the throat, for example. And because that is my manifesting generator channel, or, from the solar plexus to the throat or the ego to the throat, because that is my energy and where the motor that, right? I want you guys to literally think of a car motor, right? Car motor. It's like right up to the throat. That's what my energy is available for. So because it's whatever channel it is, that's what my yes is available for. No one here is going to be saying yes because of my intuition based on these channels that are being shown here. Because my guides told me, no, I'm spiritual too, but no. All right. Next we have, and like I said, because it is a program, you guys are gonna have to get your hands dirty. You're gonna have to start playing with it and dissecting it. But that's also where the power comes from, because you have to get your hands dirty in your own energy, and no one knows you better than you. Splenic sacral. So these are the only 2 ways this is going to happen. Only 2 ways. Madonna shows us one. Kim Kardashian shows us the other. It has to be a direct line. Just because you have your splenic center defined and you're a generator or an MG doesn't count. It has to be a direct line. So splenic generated sacral authority. This is splenic awareness guides your response. This is where it's like that in the now instinctual awareness of like this is or is not healthy for me, right? I have the energy for this because it's healthy for me. I have the energy for this because my life depends on it, essentially. I have the energy for this because my instinct just knows that right? Like it's truly the most ancient form of instinct. It's like if a deer was walking through the field and she doesn't know why, but she just like runs the other way. You're not going to know why. It's just healthy for you or it's not healthy for you. So that's again your splenic generated sacral authority. You're designed to generate a response in the now. Now, again, this is where a lot of people get so wrapped up and they're like, oh, I can't have long-term strategy because I operate through the now. It's not true. Yes, you operate through the now, but you can still have long-term strategy in your business. You can still plan long-term in your life. But you're designed to generate a response in the now based on that. And like, it's so important to have that. It's going to be a lot softer than the other ones. Like it's like maybe the hairs on the back of your neck, right? And maybe that's a no, like that is like because all of a sudden the hairs went up and you're like, right? Or like, it's just, I just want you to think of instinct, the deer in the field. What channel connects your sacral to your splenic center? What does this mean to you for an intuitive awareness in the now and what is correct for you? So again, it's my sacral says yes to this because it's my well-being, whether no matter what channel it's going to be for the splenic center, the splenic sacral. It's yes because it's going to keep me healthy. Yes because it's going to keep me alive. Yes because it's like this is what I need to do for my own well-being. Again, it's not going to be because of my emotions. It's not because this fits my identity. It's not because this fits my higher ideals, right? Are you guys starting to see the nuances? It's not because I have pressure to move. It's none of that. So let me know if you're starting to pick up on these little nuances. So it's strictly the instinct. Generated response. So this is going to be root or G. So this is actually who I be. This is Beyonce's chart. Mine's not here, but this is going to be a generated response. It's more of like, like the traditional, if you will, generator. So it's either going to be from the root to the sacral or from the sacral to the G center. So this is going to be, if it's based on the root, it's going to be from this pressure. Oh, whoops, I went too far. If it's from the root, it's going to be from pressure. Like this is good pressure. Pressure is not bad, right? We spoke about this before. Pressure is not bad. And if it's to the G center, it's yes, I have the energy for this essentially because it matches my identity. And of course, each channel is going to have a nuance. So again, just like everyone else, I want you looking at what does this channel mean for me? What does this channel mean for me? What am I actually saying yes to? And you can actually look at it as a different way, is what is my energy actually available for? Because your energy is only available for something very specific. Again, if it's a splenic sacral, your energy is only available for, yes, this is healthy for me, or no, this is not healthy for me. That's it. So it's a yes, I have the energy for this because it's healthy for me, or no, I don't have the energy for this because it's not healthy for me. Generated response, the nuances here is yes, because this is a good pressure. Like pressure can even be endorphins. This is a good pressure that's moving through me. So I have the energy for this. Or no, this is not feeling good. This pressure doesn't feel good to perform this in a certain amount of time for the root to the sacral. So it's a no for me. Or again, and there's going to be those nuances with the channels. So taking the time to research your own chart from the sacral to the G center, it's going to be yes, because it fits my identity. Yes, because it fits my identity. That's me. This isn't me, it's Beyonce, but I have the channel of the beat, which is 14-2. And I have the energy for something because it fits my identity, or I don't have the energy for something because it doesn't fit my identity. It's literally as simple as that. But then you can start to see how even more important, if you have the sacral to the G center, how even more critical it is for you to know who you are. Because just because you have a defined G center doesn't mean you know who you are, you're operating correctly, right? So simple. It's so simple. So looking at your unique channels, playing with it on whatever software you have. So that's why it's so important to be using software where you can kind of click on it and it gives like a little blurb. That's why I like mybodygraph.com. It'll give you a little bit of a blurb on it. And playing with it. Like, what does this mean to me? What does this then mean that my energy is available for? What does this then mean that I am available for? Because you're not available for everything. And that's where people are getting really distracted. Beyonce said, it's easy to hear the voices of others and often very difficult to hear your own. Every person you meet is going to want something different from you. The question is, what do you want for yourself? Like, if her and Rihanna aren't just living their design, I don't know what to say. They are both so embodied. It's crazy. Everything they say comes back to like, who am I? Everything they say. So a quote from Beyonce recently, I couldn't find the quote. I couldn't find the video again. I did look for it for you guys, but someone had shared an interview that Beyonce did. And they asked her what she thought about like the TikTok singing trend. And she said that there are, how did she put it? That people being a master of their craft and being in it for the long game is basically becoming obsolete. You know, she said there's no true mastery anymore, where people are dedicating themselves to a process, dedicating themselves to the vision, dedicating themselves to their art. And I was just like, oh my gosh, this woman is so nailing her design. And that is the generator. That is the MG. Master your craft. This woman, like, I was old enough to be around, and not just around, but here for the Destiny's Child movement. Like, this woman was playing the long game. She was playing the long game, and that's why she has staying power. She thinks like a businesswoman. She's wildly intelligent, and Destiny's Child, and she's looking at mastery. And that's why she's so successful. She's a master at what she does, and she creates works of art. I miss Destiny's Child. They're so good. Say my name. Oh my gosh, now I'm going to have that stuck in my head. You guys don't even want to hear me try and sing. You guys do not even want to hear it. But now, it's just for reference, it is literally playing in my head. I love and miss Destiny's Child. They are, yeah. Trust me, my husband always teases that myself and my husky harmonize really well, which is not a good thing. So when you have the sacral center is defined without the splenic center or solar plexus with like that direct, right? So we don't want to have like the direct access to the splenic center and the root, because then we're looking at both of those pieces combined, right? So like the pure generated response would be no direct connection to the splenic center. You only have two options for that anyway, no direct connection in the splenic center. And the reality is, if you have the emotional center defined, you're an emotional authority. So that doesn't apply. This doesn't apply to you because you're going to have an extra step. You got to love like the manifesting generator. It's you skip steps, but you got to wait your emotional wave. I always feel bad also for the manifestors with the emotional authority. So again, if we're looking at the root to the sacral, if you have what's called format channels from the root to the sacral, it's that adrenaline, the endorphins of the root center. And if it's, again, just going over it one more time, from the sacral to the G, your identity, your sense of love, your sense of direction. It's a yes because it fits my sense of direction. It's a yes because it fits my identity. So looking at what is the channel that connects your root to your sacral or sacral to the G? What does it mean to you to respond through this channel? And that your response is colored by this. Like, what does it mean that my response is colored by this? What does it mean I'm available for only this? Right. And I think also in the online spiritual space, a lot, I find more than any other niche, there's a lot of like stickiness around what do you mean it's not my intuition I'm operating off of? Like, just drop the this or that, or the meaning that it's bad or good or any of that, right? Like, it's who you be. Own who you be. Own who you be. You're a badass. Own who you be. So sacral authority acting from the mind, it's going to throw you off track. What you think it thinks you should do. It's going to second guess your gut response, because it's literally like life comes to you every, I'm going to say this the entire 6 weeks. Every moment of every day you are responding. The problem is you're making it mean something different in business or with wealth. When I said Destiny's Child and you guys are like, yes, Destiny's Child, that is a response. Why are we overcomplicating it, right? That is literally response. Oh, geez. Go backwards, Ashley. Freaking Max. I am too handsy for Max. Did you already say it means if we have the channel from root to sacral and splenic to sacral, you would combine them? So probably everyone here is going to have multiples, right? Everyone's going to have likely, potentially, not everyone, I shouldn't say everyone, multiple channels. So it's like, what does this mean? What does this mean to me? What does this mean to me? Start trusting yourself, guys. What does this mean to me? If I take this and I add this, what does this mean to me if I take intuition, instinct, well-being, and I add adrenalized pressure? I have blue, I have yellow, now I have green. What does that mean to me? The mind's going to get anxious and make you believe you should initiate action, not waiting for clarity, not waiting for that yes, no even. Leads to a lot of frustration, wasted time and energy, and it puts up blinders. If it doesn't look like this, I don't want it. I'm not doing it. I refuse. That's all the mind. And the opportunities like smack me in the face and you're like, no. Acting from response, you're waiting. Comes to you. Strategy, wait to respond. Authority, yes, no. It's so simple. Strategy, wait to respond. Yes, no. This can take many forms, like, right? Like, we don't have to complicate. It can be a question. It can be me mentioning Destiny's Child and you guys are like, oh my gosh, yes, I love Destiny's Child. That's a response. It can be a website, it can be an email, it can be a person, it can be a sound, it can be a picture, it can be something your dog does, it can be an animal you see outside. Like, literally anything can be a response. So your gut will respond with an and it'll feel like that, yes, like almost pulled towards something, right? Like the car, like you hit the gas, or an and kind of like Notice when you feel drawn to something, like core, not from the mind, and excited, like that, like literal light up from within. Notice what gives you a knot in your stomach or an uneasy feeling. That's another thing to tune into. Trust that life will come to you and surrender to the magic of life unfolding. So when we're looking at the sacral authority, you wait, actively wait. We're not just sitting around doing nothing, right? Actively wait, respond, yes, no, decide. This is where the mind's going to get involved and be like, well, no, that doesn't, you want strategy and you're spiritual. That's not very spiritual. You want strategy. No, we're supposed to be in feminine flow. You want to do that? Oh, you want to say that? It's going to really piss people off, right? Through the undefined solar plexus, not self. And then act or not. Then you repeat the process every single moment of every single day. Emotional authorities. Last but certainly not least are emotional authorities. Richard Branson was the example that Jovian Archive has, and I pulled up Michael Jackson. And this is super, his chart is super interesting, by the way. I mean, all four motors with that instinctual, like, it's just, I have to say, if there was someone in the industry that would have said to Britney Spears, get out before they kill you, or get out before they take over your life, I mean, it would have been Michael Jackson. If there was going to be someone wildly popular doing what they do, it would be Michael Jackson, 44 to 26, channel of the entrepreneur. I love his chart. All right, where was I going with this? As I like fangirl over Michael Jackson's chart. Also love Michael Jackson. Intuitive knowing in the now for Michael Jackson, just to show how this would look. So with Richard Branson, the difference here, if you have that emotional authority, that's magic. Love him too. Richard Branson's like, yes, no, wait my emotional wave, because no one is making emotional decisions, and you don't want to make a decision on an emotional high, and you don't want to make a decision on a low either, right? Because if you had a bad day and something comes to you, you might say no because you had a bad day. Oh, now I want to sing again. But because you had a bad day, right? Well, that's not why you make decisions. So you're waiting that emotional wave to allow that up and or down to ride out. So you're making a decision from kind of the middle ground. So how this might look for someone with Michael Jackson's, because we want to keep in mind, strategy is still wait to respond, then you respond. So it's a two-part process. So what is he responding to? Intuitive knowing in the now. That's his response. Wait to respond, then your inner authority. His inner authority is the emotional wave. So he's now waiting his emotional wave. Responds intuitive knowing in the now, wait my emotional wave. Because it might be, you know, like, no, I don't have energy for this, because you're just kind of in the wrong, especially with his openness. You're around the wrong people and in the wrong environment. So it's a no. But when he would get home, it potentially would be a yes, because now he's out of their energy. So now he can disconnect from the wrong people being in the wrong place. Well, okay, well, now that I'm outside of that, that intuitive knowing was like a no to the wrong people in the wrong place. But now that I'm in my own energy, I've realized it's a yes, potentially might stay the same. But just to show you the difference, because I think for the emotional authorities, it can get a little confusing. Strategy and authority for the generator. Wait to respond. That's what the sacral is, right? The sacral creates our aura. So the sacral creates the aura of wait to respond, but the sacral can also be an inner authority, right? Does that make sense? So the sacral creates the aura of wait to respond. That's your strategy, wait to respond. Your inner authority can also be the sacral. Yes, no. Michael Jackson, someone with that chart, would be wait to respond. I respond intuitively knowing in the now, and now I wait my emotional wave. So emotional authorities, it's kind of like playing hard to get. And Ra used to always say there's so much power that the emotional authority generator and MG holds, because it is like, I know my worth, I know my power, I know my value, and you can wait kind of energy. You're only going to have 60 to 80% clarity, about 60 to 80% clarity. And Ross said, people recognize you for your energy and your ability to work. They just do. And it's so easy for you to say, hey, yes, you're interesting. Yep, that's a nice offer. It might be something I could do, would be a good idea. See the words. Guys, you have to start watching your words. Do you see where that came from the mind? Is it all starting to be like, holy crap, this is making so much sense, right? So someone comes to you, they recognize your power, they recognize your ability, they recognize your mastery. So they're just going to. And it's so easy through the mind to be like, oh yeah, it's an interesting offer. I could totally do that. Could totally do that. It'd be a great networking opportunity. That was a big thing for me where I put boundaries around, was bending over backwards to be in like people's groups, be like an expert in people's groups. And I break my boundaries around that all the time. Because in my mind, this was in the beginning of my career, my mind would always say, well, it's a great networking opportunity. You're stupid to not do it. That's not inner authority. And then I'd be drained and I dread it. And of course, once I was on the call, it was fine, but still, it was a lot of wasted energy. And usually because it wasn't strategy and authority, it wasn't even the right niche to be in front of anyway. Because guys, it doesn't matter if you are speaking in people's groups as a group expert, it's not your ideal client. Right? That's how I feel like I'm playing hard to get. Yeah. Really starting to enjoy the waiting period. Yes, I love it. That's exactly what you're doing. Where you must interrupt the process and recognize this, recognize the stories, because the mind's always going to still do that. It's, are you making decisions from there or not? Right? It's not going to stop doing what it does. Your job, whether sacral or emotional authority, is to listen to your sacral, not the stories of your mind. So your emotional authority is yes, no, then I wait. Oh, that's a great offer. I'll get back to you in a couple days. Thanks for thinking about me. I'll get back to you in a couple days. Racing the magic of waiting out the wave. Yeah, there's so much magic. There's so much depth within it. There's the emotional wave is the only one that has depth. The only one. The sacral response isn't depth. It's yes or no. There's a depth to going through the ups and downs to find clarity. It's beautiful. So interrupting that process. That's what we're doing. It's not that the process isn't going to keep doing what the process does. It's interrupting it. The emotional authority, again, how just play it. Own your power. When you're out of your power, you're gonna be like, that's a great offer. Another one might not come along, so I better do it. That's not in your power. That's giving away your power. That is giving away your power. If you're in the high end of the wave, you may feel like, yeah, let's go for it. I'm having such an amazing day. Let's just do it without waiting. And then you pay the price, right? Now for sacral beings, sacral authorities. So if you have a sacral inner authority, you do not have the solar plexus defined. As soon as the solar plexus is defined, it's your authority. Emotions rule all. So for sacral beings, what can also happen and pull you out of your yes, no response is you're amplifying someone else's wave. So maybe you're like, hang out with the ladies in your mastermind, for example, and everyone's like talking about stuff that's getting you really excited. And you're like, oh, I'd love to do that too. That'd be amazing. And you're like amplifying everyone's emotions. And then you get off the call and you're like, why did I just say I would join them at this retreat? Or why did I just say I would like meet them for lunch or whatever? Why did I just say I'd be an expert in their program? You're amplifying everyone's emotions. None of us are making emotional decisions. And then you pay the price. You really do. Let me tell you, every time I've made a decision from the emotions, or because it makes the most sense, or be great for this, or be great for that, I pay the price. If you get a sacral yes for something, but you don't have the finances to do it, is this where you trust? You need to ask yourself better questions. I'm never going to be someone that just is like, you need to ask yourself better questions. Oh, okay. Yes. Is now the right time? No. Do I have 100 G's to drop? No. Perfect. Do I trust that it'll come back around once the right time? Yes. Like it can be a yes, but a no to right now, right? I think where people, especially in the coaching industry, are being taken is being told just like, the money will show up. And it's like frying people's nervous systems. And it's not to say that's wrong either. It's our inner authority. It goes through our inner authority. It could be something comes to you and it's like, do I travel across the world to go on this retreat? Yes. All right. So the finances don't appear to be here. Is it still a yes? Yes. Do I trust? Yes. Okay, perfect. Go. Right. But it's what's right for us. And there's no paintbrush for that. And again, you guys are going to hear me say it over and over again. We have to ask ourselves better questions. It's like when I use the analogy of the play poster, right? You see a play poster out for a walk and you're like, yes. Well, doesn't mean you go see the play. Maybe you go see the play and you're like, what the hell? This is the worst thing I've ever seen. Why did I waste my money on this? Maybe it was a yes because you really liked the actor that was on it, on the poster, right? So we have to ask ourselves better questions. And again, there's no paintbrush, yes or no. And I think that's the nuance that's missing in the online space. And some people have the nervous system and the capacity to jump and trust that life will bring them. Also, some people have created an unhealthy pattern in their business and life where they need that that restriction to then show up in their business and create wealth. And I've seen people even with multiple 6-7-figure businesses that have created this pattern, self-sabotage pattern, where they only create income in their business if there's like this pressure to create it. Otherwise, they're not showing up. So again, it's asking ourselves better questions, looking at our self-sabotage patterns and asking ourselves that. But the sacral yes can always be yes, but not no to right now. If we ask ourselves that, is it right now? No. Perfect. So for the emotional authority, acting from the mind can throw you off track with ideas of what it thinks you should do. Same thing as with just the sacral inner authority. It'll second guess that gut response and the emotional clarity. Again, this is going to be the exact same thing. It's going to get anxious. It makes you believe you should initiate action, not wait for clarity, leads you to a lot of frustration, wasted time and energy, and puts up blinders, again, preventing you from seeing opportunities right in front of you. Acting from response, yes, no, then wait for clarity. Be actively aware of life coming to you. Again, if you're pushing against life, I need to figure it out. I need to figure it out. I need to figure it out. You're not actively waiting for life to come to you. You're pushing against life. And I think this is such an important nuance that we have to realize. And it's going to take time to really sink in. This is likely not going to be something you're going to get and apply overnight, because we're so conditioned to figure it out, to make it happen. So again, same thing, can take many forms, right? Exact same thing as the inner authority generator, sacral authority, sorry. So question, email, website, poster you see, person you see, invitation you receive, a sound, a picture, a bird in the air, the weather, like anything. Your gut will respond again with that uh-huh or and then you wait. Now, a popular thing, and what I have here, although it's not always that easy, is sleep on it. It could be like if someone literally asks you out for lunch, you don't have to be like, I have to sleep on it. Like, right? Like you just don't. Maybe it's just give me a moment and go and check my schedule. Can I get back to you in a couple minutes? And you take that moment to like sink into it. Maybe you do look at your schedule and see like, do I have the capacity to go out for lunch today, or is my schedule already booked? Right? If it's a really big decision, then maybe you are sleeping on it a few nights. It's 60% clarity. 60. That's it. It's not mind certainty. It's emotional clarity. Surrender to the magic of life unfolding and feel the clear, quiet confidence of emotional clarity in your decision. It's usually very quiet. Very quiet. It's like that calm, right? It's neither high nor low. But again, it's going to be that experiment of what does it feel like for me, and based on my energy. So it's going to be a little bit different for everyone. Actively wait for something to come to you. Gut response, yes, no. Wait for clarity, sleep on it or feel out your emotional wave. Decide. This is where the mind's going to get involved. No, we should do this or we shouldn't do that. And then act or not. And then you repeat the process. And again, every moment of every day. And that's why also I think emotional authorities overthink it, is little things you're not really thinking long for, right? If your partner asks you if you want to go for a walk, probably not going to have to sleep on it, right? And so we get in our head over different things. So again, no matter what your inner authority is, whether it's sacral, whether it's emotional, the most important thing is to start looking at is, what does it feel like for me? Even reflecting on when I've made a really aligned decision, what did that look like? And when I made a decision that definitely was not aligned, what did that look and feel like? And here's the thing, the nuance to keep in mind is often our mind says, well, if it didn't go how I wanted, then it wasn't an aligned decision. And that's not necessarily the case. That's not necessarily the case. Sometimes aligned decisions bring us lessons, and that's the truth. Following your strategy and authority doesn't mean that it's just smooth sailing from here. You're certainly going with the beat of life, with the river, but even with the river, you're going to hit the rapids sometimes, right? Even the river that's flowing, there's going to be rapids, or there's going to be like rocky bits or narrowing where there's a little bit of constriction in certain areas. It doesn't mean that all of a sudden now the river is going against life or going uphill. It's still going downhill, right? One of my favorite quotes, the most powerful place we can discover mastery is in our everyday life. That's from Richard Rudd. How are you guys feeling? That's what I have for you today. How you guys feeling? You get to play with your chart after this. That's your homework from today, is to play with your chart. What does it mean for you? What does that energy mean for you? What does that mean for you for what you are available for is essentially what our sacral is saying. Yes or no, I'm available for this based on my definition, or I'm not available for this. Right? Very different. Someone with splenic sacral, yes for this because it's healthy for me, or someone with G to sacral, yes for me because this fits my identity. I love this called so much clarity in here for me. That is amazing. That makes my heart so happy. Feeling so expanded, more in love with my chart. That's what it's about. And that's really what I hope you guys walk away with more than anything, is because that's going to lead to the flow of money. The more you can be in love with yourself, the more you can be in love with your chart. I don't see, I'm excited to play hard again. I love it. I don't see this as much one-on-one anymore, but when I first started out, and it goes to show like how much I've shifted in my message. When I first started out, especially when I was working with people that would have had, oh, it happens a lot now too, but really poor experiences with human design, with people that were making it up as they go. And that tends to be who I get actually. But anyway, off topic. They'd come to me and like almost be in tears because they're the most common type. So they're not special and they want to be a manifestor because the manifestor is special and can initiate things, or, their profile is not special enough, or this isn't special enough, or they're too open, or they're too defined, or like we come with all of these stories. And it really is about coming back to a place of like, wow, I'm so unique, not just because of my definition, but because even if someone had the exact same definition as you, which they don't, because when we're looking at the definition, your definition goes deep. Like it's not just what it looks like. Like, yes, you have the line, you're going to have your gate, but then you have your line, you have your astrology activation, you have your tone, your base, your color, which is all below your, that's the mechanics below what you see as black or red. Like it's crazy. There's so many layers there. So there's no one like you, but even more than that, there's no one that's had the exact same experience that you have brought in through your openness. And the more you can leverage that in business, the more you can lean into that in business, that's your unfair advantage. So I hope you guys have dug into your unfair advantage workbook, because that's going to change your life in business. That is your unfair advantage. And the more you can leverage that, the more you stand out. Because I know a lot of people say like, it's not saturated. The market is saturated, but it's not bad. It's giving you an opportunity, and it's asking and demanding of you to stand out. What makes you special? What makes you stand out? And this is where we often get distracted, right? Like I said earlier, I'd get distracted at certain parts of my journey thinking, I need multiple masteries, or I need to add to my mastery, or I need something different to set me apart. But you are what sets you apart. You are what sets you apart. Just trust your mastery. Trust your energy. Trust who you be. I'm going to play with my chart. I love it. Yeah, get curious, get curious about your energy, guys. It just always reminds me of what Richard said to someone, especially in the beginning of someone's journey. And again, someone that's been like deep in the journey. I have clients that have been with me for years working on their design. Someone deep in their journey. Sure, we can look at the nuances, but at the end of the day, my first priority with anyone is getting you to know yourself. Because if you're still looking at me to tell you who you be, you're missing the point. I'm not your guru. I don't want to be your guru. I never want to be your guru, because what that means is you've put me on a pedestal and you said Ashley knows me better than I know myself. So I better plug into her. When if I'm doing my job correctly, I'm just guiding you back to what you always knew. And sure, in strategy, I can bring out what you don't know and I can fill in those gaps. But when it comes to this piece, the energy piece, no one knows you better than you know yourself. And again, it always brings me back to what Richard said to that guy on a call one day, where he was like, why are you asking me? You tell me what that means. And then our mind will get involved and be like, but I don't know the mechanics, and I don't know the lines, and I don't know the colors, and what does the color mean? And why is the splenic center brown? And why is the throat brown? And why is the ajna green? And that must mean something. And then I need to know the variables. And so-and-so said this on the internet. And how does that? No, like just come back. The beginning, the foundational piece is learning to love yourself and trust yourself. And if you keep trying to plug into everyone else and keep plug into everyone else, tell you who you be, you're going to be seeking for the rest of your life. You're going to hire all the mentors and sit there and go, Why am I no further ahead? Why is my business no further ahead? And it's because you haven't trusted yourself. You're not asking yourself powerful questions, and you're not allowing yourself to be challenged. Challenge isn't bad. Pressure isn't bad. It's going to be uncomfortable to grow. Get comfortable in the discomfort. It's going to be uncomfortable because likely as you go, you're going to notice all these shadow patterns that have been running your life. And we'll get more into that later. Think about how I apply this to my business and what that means as a type of content I produce online. As I'm responding to my audience. Yeah, so I love that you say that, because this is really important. And I've said it before, but I also want to underline it, guys. And not saying this applies to you, just in general. I'm going to say this last thing and then I'm going to let you guys go. It's really important you're not responding to the wrong people. Your current audience might not be who you want to work with, or who's you're meant to be working with, or who you even desire to be working with. So what I see often happen a lot for generators and MGs is they're responding to people in their current audience that aren't the right fit for them, or would not even buy their products, or maybe they're because they like you or they know you, or whatever the case may be. I don't know, whatever reason, or they liked your page and they don't even know who you are. There's so many reasons on how people end up in our worlds, or maybe they're there based on an old version of you, right? But that's not the new version of you. If we start responding to people that are not our people and who are not going to be purchasing our products, we're not going to be speaking to who we want to be speaking to. We're going to have the wrong message. We're going to be using the wrong words. We're going to be creating content for the wrong people. So it's really important you get clear. Who is my person? Who is my person? Who is my person? Who am I speaking to? And I love Mikosi, the royal shaman, because she made a post about this a while ago, about you need to know your niche. Like, you need to know who your person is. And I just thought it was such like a mic drop moment, because people tend to think like, screw the niche. I don't need a niche. I'm too spiritual. I'm too woke. I don't need a niche. And then Mikosi comes in as like literally the shaman, the royal shaman. She's like, bitches, you need a niche. Like, get a niche, right? So it's so important. She was talking about how important it is that you have a niche, no matter what your direction, your niche, or your industry. Who are you speaking to? You want to be like a little fish in a big pond, or no, big fish in a little pond. Backwards. Big fish in a little pond. Big fish in a little pond. Scratch that from the record. Big fish in a little pond. If you're trying to be a little fish in a big pond, and you're trying to go up against, like, say, for example, Manifestation Babe, Catherine Zinkita, and you have like a super similar message and you're not leveraging your unfair advantage, you're not allowing yourself to stand